Knicks. This is the Triple Play Fantasy Basketball Show, proud member of the Empire Media family. I'm your host, Coach Jay Lewis, fresh off coaching and winning our middle school track and field meet this morning. It helps when you have a seventh grader running a 5-minute and 23-second mile. This kid won the 1,600, the 800, the 400, everything I put him in, the long jump. He's just a do-it-all. So shout out Mr. Wheeler. Here for middle school, we won both boys and girls, so I'm proud, Coach, today. I'm feeling it. We are a little lighter than usual, missing our guys, Brash Adamas and Coach Kevin Coleman, but I am again joined by my ace, E. Mindy, and our honorable guest, in which I will let E do the honors. But first, the hype, the commissioner, the voice, and maybe the hardest working member of the Triple Play family, Eric, the Dr. Mendelson. What's up, buddy?
You know, I was doing better until you said that a 15-year-old could run a 5-minute mile. And that just made me feel really bad about myself. I can never do that.
Yeah, he's not even 15. He's like 12. He might not even have underarm hair.
Oh gosh.
It's an advantage.
I do want to intro our guest on a fellow Marylander. I can't speak right now. A podcast host and writer for Take It to the Hizzy. The man who takes pictures in front of the Washington Monument. We got our guy, part of the 1.01. If you know, you know. And that's Justin Bruni. What's going on, my man?
Hey, not a whole lot. Really appreciate that awesome intro. Yeah, take it to the Hizzy. Stop by with us any Wednesday night talking basketball.
You got to take a picture from the monument. Come on, man.
Kind of have to. I mean,
it's a must do.
But what are you going to do after you take the picture? Are you going to edit it, or you know, make it black and white, and then make it your profile picture, and just never change it? Oh, that's me.
That's your identity. That's your identity. If you do change it now, I'll know you're having like a midlife crisis.
That's probably true. What's happening with Justin?
In today's show, we speak on subjects such as the terrible tragedy of Terrance Clarke, the recent sprained ankles of Trae Young of the Hawks and Porzingis of the Mavs. AD is back, baby. CP3 could have been in Philly, but just said no thank you. The Knicks and the Wizards are playing the best basketball in the NBA. Yes, I said that's not a typo. The New York Knicks and the Washington Wizards are streaking like Will Ferrell in old school. We're also going to talk, as always, our performances of the week, fantasy free agent pickups, it's fantasy playoffs, Final Four next week for most of us lucky players out there. In this week's segment of Who Ya Got, we feature Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook. But first, a little news and notes. A bit of a shocking, sad start here. We lost NBA hopeful Terrance Clarke as he died in a tragic solo car accident. Thoughts from anybody that wants to chime in before I do?
It's just a shame that, you know, you think about him as the basketball player, but he's 19 years old. He had his entire life ahead of him. And, it's just unfortunate because, you see this not only with him, but with other athletes. And it's very saddening that, they're not going to be able to showcase. I mean, this is a guy that obviously went to Kentucky, put a lot of time and effort into his craft, and he's not going to have the opportunity to perform at the biggest stage. And he probably would have been drafted. So just, awful news, prayers for his family, for his loved ones, and hopefully we don't see many more, cases like this.
Yeah, it's absolutely terrible. I mean, realistically, at the end of the day, it's just a story about a young kid, losing his life. Take basketball out of the equation. Really just makes you, appreciate, your own life. I have a 19-year-old brother, or 18-year-old brother, I should say. So I didn't, text him and say, hey, bro, I love you or anything like that. But I did reach out to him and, just say, hey, what are you doing Monday? You want to come on my show or whatever? So it really makes you, sit back and think and really appreciate the good things that you have. And guys, wear your seatbelts. It's common sense, but it's not so common, right?
Yeah, and that's a big note. And just a little background, 19-year-old Boston native. He was touted as the top freshman in the country at the time. And I've been watching videos as he's been going to the top elite camp since that time. And I mean, just a charismatic, energetic kid. Going in the past year, he's top tier player. He played with Team USA for years now. He was consistent top 10 pick coming into the year. And he was top 3 in his class. He had a rough freshman year. Had to do with an ankle injury that it was bothering him all year, as well as BJ Boston, who was behind Terrance in this vehicle crash. They both signed to Clutch Sports, and they were preparing for the draft. They were projected as late first round picks. But I think that both of those kids we're going to have a really stout career. I just lost a good friend, one of my groomsmen's brother. He was in this winter, he was a passenger in a car accident, and I can't emphasize the importance of wearing the seatbelt. Mm-hmm. Lives are so short. You got to be thankful every single day that we wake up and we're healthy and we have them. So rest in peace, my brother Jonathan Charkis, and Terrance family is Terrance Clarke. His family. He was gone way too early. He would have been a steal in the pick in the draft for basketball. But no, we're missing a great kid. He was a wonderful kid. He had a great head on his shoulders. He was asking the questions. He was willing to listen. He was willing to work hard. He built rapport with players like Tatum and LeBron James and so many NBA players. We're looking out for this kid. And it's just a sad story. But we do have to mention that as we move on. Concerning injuries, recent injuries, we talk about Trae Young, Kristaps Porzingis, both spraining their ankles. Doc, we're going to start with you, but let's not talk about your fantasy implications in this answer. This is a real life. What are you more concerned about, Porzingis, the unicorn, or Trae Young?
I'm more concerned about Trae Young, and I feel like as a basketball player, and you guys chime in real quick, is there nothing worse? Like, obviously a torn ACL is more tragic, but like sprained ankles have to be the most nagging, annoying injury that you see happen all the time, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially in like basketball, because in football you see that hamstring, and hamstring will just go weeks and weeks. Julio Jones and whoever else, or
like turf toe, but like
the ankle in basketball happens all the time.
The ankle in basketball, I'm worried more for the Hawks because they have a 2-game lead over the division. I think with Miami kind of creeping up, and that was a big dub that the Hawks had over the Heat yesterday. But I think Trae Young is the engine to that offense. They have really tailored it around him. So that's a little bit more concerning. Luka is the Mavs offense. And, I think Porzingis is a nice compliment, but he's clearly the second option, maybe third if Tim Hardaway. Yeah, I said Tim Hardaway.
Stop it, Eric.
I'm a Tim Hardaway fan, okay?
All right, we like Tim Hardaway, but he's not the second option on that team.
Sometimes.
Well, Trae Young is the identity of the Atlanta Hawks, leading in points, assists. He's distributing the ball all the time. So I feel like, they're the bigger losers of the two here. And the guys that they're going to have fill in, we're looking at like Brandon Goodwin, Lou Williams. Like, what are you really going to expect from those guys? And I feel like they can make can make up Porzingis's production a little bit easier with, guys like Maxi Kleber, Willie Cauley-Stein, Dorian Finney-Smith sometimes gets some playing time at the power forward, so maybe a little bit more or a few more minutes for him. So I feel like they're they're in a better situation to supplement, Porzingis' production rather than Atlanta.
Finney-Smith is a sneaky, no stats, good player guy.
Correct.
Yeah, correct. He's a winning player. He's better than if you look at the box. If you look at the box score, you think that guy sucks.
I would like him in points-based fantasy, not necessarily categories, because sometimes the categories are just far too inconsistent. But he does enough work overall to kind of drive those points numbers, I feel.
Absolutely. For me, I'm gonna disagree. I think it's KP, just because of his injury concerns his entire career. It appears also, a side note, it appears that there's a little tension between Luka and Porzingis. They got body language is off on the court. That's something to keep an eye on going forward. The Mavs with Porzingis are very different, dangerous. They're a different team without Porzingis, and he's actually having a sneaky good season when he plays. Yes, Luka's going to be Luka. He's always going to carry the load, but for them to be dangerous in the playoffs, they're going to need Porzingis rolling. I'm not worried as much on Trae coming back before the playoffs. He's a gamer. I think he'll be fine. He's been pretty good with his durability for his career. So that's why I'm more concerned based on the injury history, and we can't keep Porzingis on the court, and the Mavs don't stand a chance without Porzingis in the playoffs. We're talking about, and maybe Atlanta can squeeze out a first round win, but their win was to get into the playoffs this year, and he'll be ready to go come playoff time. So these injuries aren't as bad as we saw Murray tearing his ACL, and who knows when Donovan will come back, because that was pretty bad.
My concern with Trae Young is that, did you see how much pain he was in? It seems like it's going to stress him out a lot, and he's already going to lose those hair plugs he has at 22 years old.
It looked more serious. I'll give you that. He definitely sold it. He could get an Oscar, honestly. Like, I don't know if he was acting, but he looked hurt bad.
Well, I think Dallas is going to have an uphill battle to start the playoffs regardless, just based off of their seeding and their ranking. The Atlanta Hawks need Trae Young. They're looking at the New York Knicks, who are on fire right now, who are ready for playoff basketball today. If they don't have Trae Young in the first round, they're not making it out up against the Knicks, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we'll see what Tibbs got defensively as far as a scheme for Trae. He's 100% of that offense. He needs the ball in his hands all the time for them to be successful. So we'll see what type of game plan that these playoff coaches will put together then. And I have to agree with you, Justin. I think that you definitely take the Knicks as the favorites in that matchup. Speaking of favorites, once upon a time, this team was the favorites by far to win the NBA championship. Anthony Davis is back. How does this help the state of the Los Angeles Lakers? I'm excited. I'm a LeBron guy. So
well, really quick, the Lakers are number 2 right now for odds to win the NBA championship. They are number 1 still in the West at plus 180 without any of these players, and they're a 5th seed. So the books have not corrected.
Yeah, well, I think they think that LeBron James will come back. He's been in the finals 9 of the last 10 years. So my money's on them to at least make it as well. I mean, yes, the Nets are scary, but I can see why Vegas is still having the Lakers get themselves together. And AD, we got 10, 14 games for him to get his legs underneath him, get his confidence rolling. What does this mean for the Lakers, Eric?
Yeah, I think the thing that you really want to see from Anthony Davis, not necessarily the stats because he can play, but just his conditioning. Is he going to be able to play 30 minutes consistently? They'll probably hold him out of back-to-backs for the rest of the regular season. I know there's only about 10 to 12 games left, but you really want to see his conditioning because especially if they are a 4 or 5 seed, you don't have a cakewalk first round. And they're probably going to I don't want to take anything away from LeBron. They didn't have to play the Lakers, or they didn't have to play the Clippers last year. They didn't have to play the Bucks coming out of the East. They're going to have a more difficult run in the playoffs. So I think you just want to see Anthony Davis stay healthy and be able to show that he can play 30 minutes and have no setbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you guys think about his expectations today? He came back in their last game, played about 17 minutes, 4 points, 4 rebounds. They lost to Dallas. But I do like them to win today. I'm hoping for more minutes out of Davis. What do you guys think?
He shot 1 for 10. It was clear rust, but he said he felt good. I like that tidbit. I think that he'll stay under 20 minutes today, and he'll start ramping up next week. And I really need that as far for fantasy because I traded James Harden for him earlier this year, and and it was a 3-part trade. I got Rozier. I got RJ Barrett out the deal, and I sent away Batum and Bertan. So I won that part of it, but it actually could win me the whole thing if it all works out. So I'm hoping that he plays.
The thing about Anthony Davis, too, I think he's going to have to adjust his game because now they have Andre Drummond, and he played 31 minutes yesterday, and Andre Drummond, in Brad's opinion, is the best rebounder all time. So Anthony Davis
it's one of the worst takes we've had here on
Anthony Davis goes from the stretch 5 to probably play in the 4, where they're going to have him a little bit more on the perimeter so that they don't have a log jam in the paint. And he's probably going to be taking more outside shots than he was before. So I think that 1 for 10, it's going to be interesting to see his shooting percentage going forward, and especially where he's taking shots on the court.
I was going to say that's interesting. The 1 for 10, I didn't know that, but they only lost by 5 to Dallas with him going 1 for 10 in only 17 minutes. So I'm hyping up the Lakers today. I took them at plus 2.5 today.
Oh, maybe I'll have to place that bet too.
Dallas, like we alluded to, missing Porzingis. We're not sure what we're going to get out of Kleber or Cauley Stein just yet.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, I kind of want to. We haven't seen Anthony Davis as the one guy for the Lakers. So hopefully, maybe in these 5 games without LeBron, he can really take a step up there because he's the best number 2 guy in the league, if you ask me. But we haven't seen him kind of like minutes without LeBron James last year. The Lakers did not do great or exceptional. And so let's see him maybe take a step up. Also, we want to see what he looks like with Andre Drummond. We want to see how that fit works. Can they play together? Obviously, that's probably not the best lineup down the stretch in the 4th quarter of a playoff game. But we want to see what they look like together, and that could be a defensive force.
Yeah, I think the Lakers are in a good spot coming into the playoffs too. Right now, if things ended the way the standings are aligned, they would take on Denver in the first round. That's a friendly matchup right now. They're hurting. We saw Will Barton go down. We've already seen Jamal Murray go down. So they're bleeding out talent right now. So I think that would be a very good spot for the Lakers if things can fall as they are right now into the playoffs.
They want that, yeah. They want that, and then they want the Utah matchup and the one, or they're not scared of Phoenix either. They're trying to avoid the Clippers until the Western Conference Finals. That's still, to me, still the team that is the biggest threat to them just because of matchups and all that's concerned. But if they lose today against the Mavericks, I mean, I don't know what it is. I think it's like they'll be like a 0.5 away from 6. So like it can fall real quick especially if they lose to Dallas, who's already in the 6th seed today. So let's go Lakers today.
And Dallas has one more game to play too, I believe, as well. So they're a game behind and a game to play. That's not a good position. So let's go Lakers.
Let's go. Eric, did you hear that? Let's go LeBron.
Boo!
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. LeBron's not playing today.
No, I know. Eric's not a big fan of LeBron. So we're gonna move on with LeBron's guy, Banana Boat brother, and that's The Athletic reported that Chris Paul turned down a trade offer that would have sent him to Philly. Justin, what's your take on this?
Where does that come from? I saw a per The Athletic. I didn't read any articles, but I was just like, who was making that trade, and what was the offer? Like, what were they going to give him? Like Furkan Kormats and some picks. Like, what are they going to offer? Tobias Harris? Like,
maybe I don't. Josh Richardson at the time.
You have to offer Tobias Harris or Ben Simmons.
I think it was going to be one of those 2 guys. I think they would have tried anyway.
There's no way they could have had all 4 with those salary cap. They would have gone over.
And the other thing,
but the cap doesn't exist, right?
Is just who takes point. Like, you have a guy in Ben Simmons who actually is averaging more assists per game than Chris Paul. You're going to take the ball out of his hands? I just don't understand how that would work. Like, what the lineup management would be there. Who's starting at point? Are you going to like throw Ben Simmons at the 3 or something like that and get funky with it? Keeping Seth at the 2. I just don't know. I was very surprised to see that on the lineup. I wouldn't have loved it. It wouldn't have been an endearing trade for me.
That's actually probably, like, Justin, I think for all those reasons you just said is probably why Chris Paul didn't want to go there. Like, Chris Paul, even at 36 years old, is still an alpha. And I think if he went to Phoenix, like, Devin Booker is probably the 1A option, but
he's getting the credit though, like
Chris,
Philly, your third fiddle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Phoenix has the turnaround this season where they're second in the West and they're leading the Pacific Division. And you're like, they have the same roster as they did last year, but they have Chris Paul.
Yeah, I was gonna say big difference.
So I think he knew if he goes to Philly, he's third fiddle. There's probably more pressure on him to go to the finals. And with Phoenix, it's kind of like he's playing with house money. He's running the show. He gets to be with a young core of DeAndre Ayton and Booker. So I can see why he did it. Just kind of surprising because you think Philly, him on that team, gives him a better chance to win a ring.
Yeah, you got to think about it. I think it was best for both Chris and best for Philly as well. I mean, they're both, now I guess title contenders, quote unquote. They're both top 2 seeds in their conference. But it is interesting to think about. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, they kind of rub certain players the wrong way when they're playing against each other. And you saw LeBron James pass on the Philly, which would have, if he went there instead of Los Angeles that first year, it would have definitely put them in a title contention. That would have been that was the best team he could have gone to when he was a free agent. So you see LeBron James choosing to go to LA just to go away, do his own thing. You see Chris Paul now doing the same thing. So I think that's something to think about. I mean, I think if you have Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons on your team, you're super, super happy, and those guys are your ride or die. But some of these players in the NBA, that they're not liking how they carry themselves, and they're very confident. They're arrogant. They rub people the wrong way. They're really great defensive players. They're physical. It makes it entertaining. And I can't wait till if the showdown happens between them and the Nets. We need to see that. That's must-see TV.
Yeah, I was going to say that's fantastic because that's the type of NBA I want. None of this best friends BS, like we're all friends here, like get this out of here.
Yeah. Bring back the beef, NBA.
Pistons and Pacers are playing today. Maybe another Malice at the Palace. 17 years later.
Yeah, we wish. That was awesome though. Back in the day, I remember like waking up like Sports Center that morning. I was like, let's go. What are they doing out there, man? This is a hockey game now. Let's go, Ben Wallace.
Yeah, these days it's gonna be 1 versus 1. It's gonna be Isaiah Stewart versus Damas Sabonis because it's the only 2 tough players on both teams.
Not O'Shea Brissett.
Yeah. Oh man, who is that guy? I thought I'd take pride in knowing everyone in the NBA. Who are you?
I've had to Google more names this week than I ever have in fantasy basketball.
Who is he? Where does he come from? We need to know that.
It's that type of year.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Especially this last week and a half. Like, I don't know who you are. I'm gonna look you up. All right, cool. The numbers are there. Come aboard.
Oh man, yeah. You take a look at the OKC box score, and you're like, is this basketball anymore? Is this the OKC baseball team? I didn't know they had one. Speaking of fantasy ads coming up for week 18 action. It's playoffs, gentlemen. Most people are in their quarterfinals or wrapping them up right now. It's Final Fours next week. If you have top tier plans, how are we looking? And who are the players that might decide a win or loss when it comes down to 4 teams? We're taking a look at the top available players. We're going to start with Eric on this one.
So I think you want to look at Landry Shamit. He's owned in 11.3% of ESPN leagues. He's played 30 minutes, 5 out of the last 6 games, put up 17, 20, 30, 18, 10. You figure Kevin Durant and James Harden, they're going to be rested for the actual NBA playoffs. So the Nets had an 8-man rotation the other day. And I forgot it was like Kyrie, it was Bruce Bowen, DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, Landry Shamit. So they're very thin on guards as well.
Did you call Bruce Brown?
Bruce Brown. Oh,
he's got that stroke though. I could see the comparison.
As soon as I said it, I was like, wait, that's a mess up. But I think and we talked about the last week. At this point, you're not necessarily looking at the names, but you're looking at the minutes and people that are trending to get more playing time. And he's somebody that I think will do well. He doesn't provide much in any other categories. Maybe we'll get you some assists or a steal here and there, but definitely in that points and that shooting percentage will help out.
Get the hot shooters when they're hot. It's been the MO of all season. They come and go in waves, and it's confidence. It's basketball. Justin, who you got? Who you looking at?
I got Reggie Bullock of the New York Knicks.
Got mine. Yep.
Sniped. Gotcha. All right. So the last, I'll say 4 games here, 18, 16, 15, 11 points, assists 4, 4, 1, 1, and kind of up and down there, and a fair amount of rebounds, 3, 4, 4, and 5 his last 5 games. But the minutes are there. That volume is available. 40, 38, 37, and 41 minutes in his last 4 games. I absolutely love it. I took a prop on him today. Total points, rebounds, and assists. Over 18.5. He's at 13 right now, just at halftime. So let's cash that ticket. Let's take home some Reggie Bullock this week. Only 22% owned in Yahoo leagues.
Wait, where's that site? That's a juicy prop.
Yes, sir. I've hit a few on him actually this year. I grabbed
him. What site is this?
That one that I did was on Jazz Sports, but I believe BetOnline also had 18.5. Just check FanDuel, see what they're running. Well, we're in Maryland, so FanDuel's not going to work. jazzsports.com or BetOnline AG. I use both of those.
All right. Well, we'll put some free ads on there.
And to put those numbers together, that's 16, 4, 3, 1 steal, and 5 threes per game the last week. I took note of 37 minutes a game the last 4 as well. At least 37, I should say. Tibbs loves to play his guys. We all know that. And he plays them heavy. They played a long time. So give me Reggie Bullock. That was my guy. And this is my guy 3 weeks in a row. Teo Maledon, point guard OKC. He gets you assists. He gets you rebounds. He had 20 and 8 assists last game. He's playing like 30 minutes a game. It looks like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is out for the year. And this kid is not providing winning basketball, but he's providing stats, and that's what OKC wants. They don't want to win. So I love me some Lou Dort, but they sit him every other game, even though he goes off for 40 with a hip flexor injury. The Yahoo report said rest, Cade Cunningham on Yahoo when you're looking at the injury report. I lied to you not. I had to screenshot it. I thought that was hilarious that some troll can write that and no one corrects it. But it says hip, rest, Cade Cunningham as the injury report.
That just shows why you don't ever use Yahoo.
Yeah.
Tanking. Yahoo is number one.
I'm ready to migrate. I'm not going to lie. I haven't had the best experience this year.
I love me Yahoo. I guess we'll debate who has got the best fantasy system later on, Eric. But I'm pro Yahoo. I think you're pro ESPN, right? Since we're commissioners of teams and for different apps, we're giving all types of free.
Brad
would be like, no free ads, no free ads.
Get to our plug. Let's go to the next part. Let's skip over this.
Speaking of, let's give it an appropriate plug. So a little plug talk from us. Wherever you find your podcast, go follow the Triple Play Fantasy franchise. We got all things hoops, gridiron, and diamond covered. If you're not keeping up, you might get passed like Brad Beal as the NBA's leading scorer. Called it Triple Play is giving you the heat like shoeless Mike Miller, Game 5 of the 2012 NBA Finals. If you're enjoying the content, how about dishing out assists like Bob Cousy used to do to Bill Russell in the Celtics championship heyday by giving us a 5-star rating and review? Check us out on Twitter and IG at Trip Play Fantasy. Eric and Brad run our social media and provide daily questions. Our weekly episode drops, as well as spot interviews. Got to check out former 49ers and Eagles quarterback Jeff Garcia's interview from the past week as he gives us gold on a play-by-play through his great grind and NFL career. Just want to say thanks to the entire Triple Play Fantasy family for your listens each and every week. And now it's time for a little NBA catch-up Week 18 edition, starting with our impressive performance of the week. Who needs some love and props from this past week? Let's start with Justin.
Oh man, I feel like I'm cheating on this one. You give me the first nod here. Kind of a peep to the conversation, the back end of the show. Chris Paul versus Russell Westbrook. I got to go Westbrook, man. He is second in the league across the past 7 days in rebounds. He is first in assists. Like, the dude is just a machine right now, and obviously he's put the team back into playoff contention. They're going to be in a very strong position to make a run in the play-in process here for the NBA. So I got to give the nod to Russ.
Absolutely, he grabbed 20 against the Dubs this week, and we'll talk more on him. Yeah, he's actually gotten our impressive performance of the week. He might have gotten a nod like 4 of the last 5 weeks. Eric, who's your guy this week?
Oh, wow. I'm really glad Brad skipped this episode because Brad would be letting us know that he was right. I'm going Kyrie Irving. That's another reason I wish Brad wasn't on this show right now. Or I'm glad he's not.
Wow.
So the Nets only went 2-2, but you talk about 2 injuries to their major stars. Kyrie's had a couple injuries of his own, but they had a tough schedule. I mean, 4 games in a week at Miami, at the Pelicans, at the Raptors, and then sealing with a dub yesterday versus the Celtics. He went 15-11, 9 rebounds, 4 steals. He's been a menace on the defensive front too. And they actually the Nets now have the Atlantic Division lead over the 76ers by half a game as of recording this Saturday. So shout out Kyrie. I don't always hate on you. You're a great player.
Wow. What is into you today? Do you do this just because Brad's not here?
Maybe.
That is amazing. All right, so my guy is somebody I was featured on Who You Got last week, and that's Ja Morant. Ja Morant had 33, 13, and 5 in a win against the Blazers on Damian Lillard. 11 of 17 shooting, which is high efficiency. He gave us 36, 8, and 12 in a dazzling performance earlier the week versus the Nuggets in a double OT loss in which the Joker had 47, 15, and 8 in that game. So I kind of double dipped right there on 20 of 31 shooting. He locked up the MVP race, in my opinion. I don't think it's a contest based on him not missing a single game. But yeah, John Morant, man, his ceiling is so high, and when he has games like this, and when he had I think he had like 44 in the season opener, maybe 41. When he has these performances, it just opens your eyes and says, "Oh, this is just such a spectacular young talent." So we wish him the best as far as injuries are concerned, because he plays so explosive. You kind of worry, like, how long is this going to last? But we're going to move on to how long is this going to last with the New York Knicks, winners of 8 in a row and going for 9 as we're podcasting right now. They're playing the Toronto Raptors. Are you believing in the Julius Randle-led Knicks? Let's go, Doc, on this one.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember a couple weeks ago, I said, because we were talking about a team that's 5 or lower at the time in the playoffs that could give a team run for their money. And I said the Knicks. They are gritty defensively. They're obviously third in their division behind the Brooklyn Nets and the 76ers. But they're actually allowing less points per game than when we talked last time. They were at 105. Now they're at 104.7. I think when you see the pace slow down in the playoffs, that's when the teams that are really defensive mindset oriented come to shine. And I love Julius Randle. I wouldn't go as far as to say he's better than Chris Bosh. I think that's a little ludicrous. But I think we're really seeing the potential that he's reached, that when he was drafted, I think like 7th overall by the Lakers. A lot of times we were like, oh, he'll be good. He looks like he's borderline superstar.
Oh, absolutely. He looks like it today. That's for sure. He's already got 20 points of they're 71. They're down 2 right now to the Raptors. The Knicks are coming in, 8 in a row, 8-2 in their last 10. They are 10-0 across the spread in their last 10 games. A couple of winners there for me. Thank you very much, the Knicks.
I'm taking notes on that right now.
Betting God himself.
And they are 7-3 to the over, oddly, in their last 10. They are 26-34 to the over on the season. So traditionally, they've been cashing unders all year. So right now, the Knicks, the way they're playing, you're getting very friendly numbers on the totals. So you can cash a few overs every now and again. I have them today at +1. They're down by 2 right now. We'll get right. Don't worry about it. And the over. I have that parlay today. I feel really, really good about that bet. I've cashed 2 covers in their last 10 or whatever, and it's not the greatest. Sometimes your eyes are wandering all over the place. Basketball, hockey, whatever. Even sprinkling in some baseball that I know nothing about. Right. So, yeah, they've been very profitable, and I believe in them right now. I think that they can come out of the first round, especially if they get a hobbled team potentially like the Atlanta Hawks, and from there, who knows what can happen with the defense that they can play.
Yeah, and we saw what Miami Heat did defensively last year, and they kind of shocked their way to the Eastern Conference Finals. But what a joy it is to see the New York Knickerbockers being relevant again and playing great basketball. They have a top 5 defense. They're finishing games. Derrick Rose, clutch gene, is mightily underrated. The kid is super clutch.
He's coming back.
Do you guys want to hear a hot take? I'm not saying the Knicks are my pick to come out of the East, but it wouldn't surprise me if they came out. I
like them to go to the finals, the Eastern Conference Finals, for sure.
I think they could beat anyone in a 7-game series. Minus a healthy Brooklyn Nets. I think they could beat the 76ers in a 7-game series. Not saying they're going to, but I think they're a team that everybody thinks it could be the Bucks, the 76ers, or the Bucks, 76ers, or Nets. Excuse me. I think you could put them in as that 4th team. I actually like their chances over Boston.
Well, they are the 4 team. They are the 4 team right now. So just give it the chalk 1 through 4, right?
Okay.
Let's say they take on the Nets in the quarterfinals, and the Nets come in hobbled. Why not?
I did not know. You're right. They are the 4th seed. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a little ludicrous. I don't see them getting past those top tier East teams.
Sure,
I think the cream rises to the crop at the end of the day.
You better hope they don't. Otherwise, you'll get a nice little text.
The ludicrous. Yeah, he played over. Julius Randle. I mean, we're looking at the most improved player this year. I don't know if that's a content, but he's actually playing so well. You could consider him an all NBA player, and that's to think about even where he was last year, where he was playing really good ball. The fact that they're running the offense through him, and he's doing so well with his assists. This is their longest win streak since 2014. And Julius Randle had 40, 11, and 6 last game. He's got 20 at halftime today. So we'll see. But I would say it is a joy to see the Big Apple's team playing relevant basketball. It just makes the league better when the New York Knicks are good.
This is the happiest I've seen Stephen A in years.
I'm hoping for, I don't know what the standings are entirely, but I would love to see them versus Milwaukee. I think that would be a dog fight. And yeah, I would take Milwaukee. That's just me personally, but I think that would be a grinded out series. And who knows? Tibbs is a great defensive coach, and we would love to see what he does in the playoffs for that. So moving from one hot team to the other, and that's the Wizards. They're winners of 6 in a row, and they're now in the playoff hunt. They're the 10 seed. They're in that playoff game. Thoughts on them? Russell Westbrook's recent play, Brad Beal's consistency scoring the basketball. Shout out Brad. He did say when the Wizards were the 13th seed over there in the East and just really digging deep. He said, watch, they're going to make the playoffs, and we all kind of giggled a little bit. I said I believe it could happen, but it's actually coming into fruition. Winners of 6 in a row and shutting down Steph Curry. He had 2 points at halftime. I was watching that game live. I watched the whole thing, and they came back in the fourth quarter. They won the fourth quarter by 12 points in a game that I really thought the Warriors just had figured them out, and it was over. But Russell Westbrook put his team on his back, and they won. So let's talk about our thoughts of the Wizards right now. Let's go. Eric.
Yeah, I mean, the 6 in a row and especially them gaining momentum, I think it's the right time. I think the biggest thing now is they're winning games they should. And being a Wiz fan for years, they would have lost that home game to the Thunder. And they were playing it pretty close for a while. I look at the wins, though. The one that is very impressive is at the Jazz, a place where they've historically struggled before the Donovan Mitchell injury. But they beat a struggling Kings on the road. They beat Pelicans at home, which they should have. They beat the Pistons at home, which they should have. They beat the Thunder at home, which they should have. They beat the Warriors, which was kind of a coin flip game to me. And they beat the Thunder on the road. And they're now playing the Cavs, the Spurs, the Lakers, and the Cavs to finish out the season or to finish out the month. I want to see how they do with those. Those should all pretty much be winnable games. Maybe split 1 or 2 with the Cavs, but let's see if they can keep it up.
I think they're going to go like 9-5 or 8-6 to finish out this season. So I absolutely have them as a lock as that 10 seed, maybe even a little bit upside to chase into that 9th spot. Because I do not believe in my Chicago Bulls, who have pretty much a 0% chance to make it to the playoffs.
The Raptors are tanking, man. Even though they're in the top 10, they're tanking. Yeah.
So that was going to be my comparison. The Raptors are a team that I feel will be 4-9, 5-10 to finish out the year, just based off of their opponents. When you look at Washington's schedule, Eric, you alluded to it a little bit. Cleveland, San Antonio, the Lakers, you mix some Dallas in there, some Milwaukee, but you're closing out the year with Charlotte, Cleveland, Atlanta back-to-back. We'll see if Trae comes back, if he's going to be healthy in that series. Indiana a couple of times, Cleveland a few times. So I really like their schedule. Like I said, 9-5, 8-6. That'll put them in a very good position. Beyond that, they got a fighter's swing or a puncher's chance to maybe win a round or a couple of games in the playoffs.
Triple doubles in 10 of his last 11, Russell Westbrook. He's 7 away from Oscar Robertson, and he is the bona fide alpha on his team. His teammates love to play with him. I just love that he's on my team, that I can watch him. I can really root for him, because you really don't appreciate a Russell Westbrook until he's actually playing. He's in your corner. He's playing on your team. Russell Westbrook leads the league in clutch field goal percentage in the last 5 minutes. I just want you to let that sit in.
Wow,
He's been crushed with his clutch play his entire career. Field goal percentage in the last 5 minutes, that's a big time stat. And even in that Warriors game, he started the game like 3 of 12, and he did everything it took to put his team in the victory lane with his 20 rebounds. He's the greatest rebounding point guard of all time. And I don't know if that's an arguable thing. But Magic Johnson's never even averaged double digits. He's got like 4 of the last 5 seasons in double-digit rebounds.
I was blanking on any. No, I was just completely blanking. I couldn't agree more, actually.
Yeah, and he doesn't necessarily. You don't really be like, oh, he's just the greatest rebound. The way he can see where it's coming. And yes, it's athleticism helps him out. Yes, they were padding his stats a little bit for OKC, like Steven Adams get out the way, but he goes and gets it. He goes, yeah, Steven Adams, what a great teammate he is. Yeah, you get it, buddy. 30, 10, and 10. It's all you. So that is our take on the Wizards and the Knicks, and let's see if they can keep that going. NBA fantasy playoff story. So we are a fantasy pod, and this is just like a trip down memory lane, good or bad, something that sticks out to you. And I know we all play our hand in some fantasy basketball. So I was just curious to hear, because this is my first time playing some fantasy basketball with Eric and vice versa. And, Justin, we don't know what your fantasy leagues were looking like there in Illinois, but we want to hear some stories, something good, something bad. I shared a story last week about losing $1,000 in the championship in a winner take all when I was the 1 seed the whole year. And it made me spark this question. So we're going to start with our guest here. Justin, do you got a fantasy story for us?
I mean, I've been looking at a glass ceiling all year this year. I've been in third place since day one to the last day, and I'm probably going to lose this week in week 1 in the playoffs. Like, it's just been kind of just a kind of season. The season before, I was riding second place the whole year. Very similar situation, and we don't get the playoffs because of COVID. That was pretty shitty. Wasn't a fan of that. So yeah, I haven't won a championship in a while, probably since, I don't know what, we're in 2021 now, since like 2017 that I've won a fantasy championship. So I'm just trying to get back. I'm just trying to get back to the top. Felt like I had a couple of chances these past few seasons, but glass ceiling just falling a little bit too short.
And that is something I didn't even think about. That I didn't play my hand in fantasy last year. And to just have it just hit a hole. Imagine if you got the 1 seed and you've been dominating all year, and you just had to miss a season. That kind of sucks. I didn't think about that.
That was rough.
Yeah, and that's actually what I did last year as well. It was another league, and I was the number 1 seed and crushing it. And then COVID happened, and the 4 teams that we'd essentially locked up the playoff berth, and we said, okay, we'll just split the prize money in 4s. And I was like, man, I would have totally won the league though.
We just got our money back, like, here, everybody gets your money back. And I was like, all right,
well, yeah, I mean, at that point, the standings had been set for the playoffs. The year before that, I was in a head-to-head categories league with some pretty hardcore people that do this, people in their 40s or 50s that, instead of working their job or posting smack talk. And I kind of stayed by myself. I talked a lot of smack with the commissioner, who happened to be my barber. He is the 3rd seed. He's doing well the entire season. And I sneak in as the 6th seed or like the 5th seed or something like that. And his team just has a dud and he loses. And then my team that barely sneaks in wins.
See, that would have been you. That would have been you this week if you didn't get a bye week.
It would have been me, and that just shows you it doesn't matter what you did all season. Past performance is not indicative of future success, and that it is a weekly game. But you do have to talk smack. I feel like there's not as much smack talking in fantasy basketball as there is fantasy football, and that's how you're going to make your league better.
Yeah, I think for me with the smack talk, I know I'm in your league as commissioner, and I'm not talking as much because I just don't know everybody too well. I'm a commissioner of my other league, and it's just nonstop text messaging back and forth. So I guess it's kind of like with your boys. And so this year with Eric's league, is auction league. I spent all my money in the first 4 players, and then the rest of my roster was depleted. It was bad. So I was in 7th all year, and then the last 2 weeks I climbed up, and now I'm one of the hottest teams. I'm in 3rd, and I'm gonna win this. I'm gonna hold on this week and be in that Final 4. And you never know what's gonna happen. I had Triple J on the bench all year. I spent $2 on him, and he played like 15 minutes, had 13 points and 8 rebounds from 4 blocks in his first game, and I got 80 back. Like, I'm dangerous, Eric.
It's also helpful when your opponent doesn't check his team till midweek.
Oh God.
Oh man.
Well, yeah, that's gonna help. That's gonna help. I would be soaking up a lot of that right now. I am behind this week alone, like by 100 field goals, by like double, like triple 3-pointers made, by like 80 rebounds. I'm just like, where did all this production come from? Like, what the hell? Eric, I saw in one of your previous episodes, you were dealing with injuries. Same here, and I'm not I'm not just gonna ramble off names. Like, it's on me at the end of the day to add the right guys. Like, I added who was like Najee Marshall the other day, because off of his recent production,
you gotta go.
Yeah.
Just completely just duds, in his production to follow the highs, right? So, like, you take the good with the bad. Like, fantasy's fun, right? Kind of to your point about the trash talk. We had a guy in our league. He's been in first all year. His name of his team was Cat Got Your Tongue, and he spelled tongue wrong, and no one said a damn thing.
See, that wouldn't fly in my league. I would call it every day.
Isn't that the worst though when you spend your pickups at the beginning of the week and then they fall short because it could hit, like it could really hit. You got a guy that plays 4 or 5 games and then all of a sudden like he gets a little injury, but you used all 3 of your pickups like that. That's the worst. But you got to gamble in the playoffs. You either got to hold on to them towards Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or use them at the beginning of the week because those are the top players like Isaiah Stewart, Sadiq Bey. They get picked up Monday morning at 6 a.m.
Oh, absolutely. So what do you guys do for pickups? You do 3 a week?
Yeah, it's 3. It's 3 max, just so that you can't do transactions every day. It was 2 last year, but just with COVID, people being out randomly, and I will knock ESPN on this. They don't update the players' statuses as often as they should.
Well, that's not good. How many starters do you guys have daily? And I'm assuming it's still daily rosters, right?
Yeah, it's daily rosters, and you have 10.
You have 10. Okay, so
3 bench, 3 IR, 3 transactions.
Yeah, we do the same, but we have 6 ads a week. 6 ads a week. We get with it.
Moly.
Oh yeah, we get with it. So if you don't participate, your ass is out. Like, that's what I cannot stand. Like, anyone that does not participate, you're out. Like you're just not coming back the next year. I just cannot stand it. It's to the point where I removed field goal percentage because it rewards people that don't participate.
There we go.
That's hilarious. The league that I'm commissioner of, I do 7 categories, so it is the most important. It's points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, and turnovers, and that's it.
Meat and potatoes.
Yep, 4 threes. 4 threes win you your week, and I go a little deeper with my bench. I go 5, 3 pickups a week, and I managed to get the 2 seed I actually beat the 1 seed the week going in to get that bye. And that bye is so useful. Eric can attest to it. He would have been out. And this week he got his team in shape that he's in the Final Four. I got LaMelo Ball on a pickup. And so I put him in the IL and got another pickup. So like my team got stronger. But if I was in the mid heat of a player, I would have had to get Stewart. I would have had to get Bay. I wouldn't have been able to sit back and find out, what the heck? LaMelo Ball's coming back? And so it just depends on your situation. And at the end of the day, there is a little bit of luck. But I think that for basketball fantasy, it's more hands-on than football. You have to be on point every day, at least 5-10 minutes. And then on that Sunday, Monday, you got to spend like 30 minutes of research.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're trying to win money and have bragging rights or not. That's what I say.
Yeah, absolutely. The guy that's about to smash me, unless, I don't know, make some miracle return. I beat him like 8-1, our first matchup of the year. Our second matchup, which was a couple of weeks ago, we wound up tying on a Sunday night, and on Tuesday he won 5-4 with a stat correction. That's when I was like, oh, well, maybe this isn't going to go my way this year. So you got to ride the highs and lows.
Yeah, and I just wanted to share. This is a shameful. Just pat on my own back here. I was looking back at Yahoo. It lists like when you won the championships, how you did, your ranking, platinum. It's weird. So I'm looking back, and the last time I did fantasy for Yahoo was 2013. And it was clearly my best year. I won both leagues that I was in head to head. I was in a 12-team league. The name of my team was Wahlberg Shooter. So that was a popular movie at the time. Nice. I had another team that was called Back of the Carter, and that was my streak growing up, and that's a Lil Wayne reference. Cool. But it's fun. It's cool to look back at your fantasy profile. That's a nice touch that Yahoo does, and it shows you when you went gold, when you won second, and then you get like a certain pecking order. So shout out Udonis Haslem, Vince Carter, Mark Gasol, Josh Smith, Al Jefferson helped me lead this my way to that championship in 2013. It's so funny because like a guy like Udonis Haslem doesn't get as much love as he needs to, but he was crazy with field goal percentage. He would get offensive rebounds, and he was consistent. But anyways, we're gonna move on to our newest segment of Triple Play Hoops. Last week we debated a little Ja Morant and De'Aaron Fox, and this week's Who You Got is Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul, two guys that we've already talked about heavily on this show. And I'm curious to see your opinions because I don't think this one is debated a lot, and it's a toss up here. This is splitting hairs. So I'm gonna go to the guest first, and then we got Doc. You can follow whatever Justin has on this one.
Yeah, I think right now where we're at, where they're at in their careers, I think the home run answer is Russell Westbrook. But if you want to get a little bit more creative about it, let's say these guys both come in the same rookie class, you know exactly what you're going to get out of them from their careers. Who would you rather have? And from that aspect, I would probably have Chris Paul. Just the way that he, is a floor general, distributes the ball, like that's his role. Like, what you can get out of him in that aspect. And then just the scoring is just always there. Right. And with Russell Westbrook, like, yeah, you love all the stats, but at the end of the day, and you mentioned it too, like his teammates have a lot of respect for him. It's just that I feel like he has also rubbed people the wrong way in some of his previous landing spots. And he's always been on the move. Chris Paul's been moved around a lot too. Neither of them have won a championship, but right now today, if you ask me, who are you taking, one or the other? I'd take Westbrook, but from the start of their inception of their careers, if you can have that world, I would take Chris Paul. As a Bulls fan, I was begging and pleading for both of them. Begging and pleading. Okay. All right. I wanted probably Chris Paul a little bit more, but do you think I would be picky between the two?
Instead, you sent 2 first rounds for Vucevic.
Hey, I don't mind that. I'm not hating on that. All right, something's got to keep Zach in the building. Someone's got to keep the leash on Levine, right? So I don't hate that move.
On Levine.
Yeah, someone's got to keep a hold on him because otherwise we're going to lose him, who we pretty much gave up Jimmy Butler for, right? So like you got to protect your assets. So I didn't hate that move, and I'm not a big advocate like, oh, you have to stock up on draft picks. Like I'm not that guy. Go get me the talent. I was okay with that, but at the same time, I would have had either of them. I thought Paul would have been a great mentor for Kobe White. I also wanted Christian Wood. Bulls fans, we don't get what we want though. So
no. What's your opinion on Markkanen? Since we're on this Bulls subject, he's set to be a restricted free agent.
You can take him. He should be coming off the bench right now. The way he's playing, in my opinion, great bench player.
I said they should have traded him at the deadline because I don't see him signing back or them re-signing him, especially with Vucevic in the building.
The move does also give some upside for re-signing Laurie to a deal. I feel like because then you're relying as Laurie to be that stretch four and not be so reliable in the paint like they thought he was going to be, which he's not. He's a shooter. And let him do that. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Let him take on that role. Let him pick off the corners and grab a rebound here or there. Dish a few out assists. I think all Bulls fans were like, "Hey, this guy could be our Pau Gasol. This could be him." He's not. Okay, he's not brutal in the paint whatsoever. He's not a high end defender. He can kick rocks as far as I'm concerned right now, or come back on a friendly deal. He doesn't blow my hair back. What I have.
What's your take on what they've looked like together, Laurie and Vucevic? Do you think they mesh well? They fit well? It seems like it's a defensive liability.
Give it time. We need to see more. There is not enough sample size yet to see what that tandem is going to bring, what success they can bring to the team. Because realistically, they didn't bring a ton, and then obviously Levine going out with, I think it was protocol, right? He's out like for 2 weeks, and that was just like the last domino to fall for our season. A very high and low season. Bulls were sometimes profitable from me, but I would say that I've lost more money betting on them this year than making money. Unlike the Knicks, who now have Tom Thibodeau and Derrick Rose. Oddly enough, it's pretty freaking wild. So yeah, I didn't love what I saw, but I still believe. I feel that trade is still going to be a win for the Bulls in the long run.
And then you say you had to see Rondo and Jimmy Butler in the NBA Finals last year. It's hard to be a Bulls fan right now. Wendell Carter looks good there in Orlando too. Like, what is that?
I think he dropped like 20 and 12 on us on the revenge game. I was betting on the Bulls that game. I was on the Bulls to take home a dub. No.
Yeah, we went down Chicago Bull lane, but that was good insight. But back to the who you got, Doc. This is Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul. Justin went Russell Westbrook right now, Chris Paul for the career. If you could start.
Yeah, and I hate to agree because I want to debate, but I'm going the same answer. I mean, Russell Westbrook now, he's just playing on another level, and you can build your team around him probably for the next year or two.
Mm-hmm.
High usage rate. Chris Paul, there's no way he could be in Russell Westbrook's shoes and play and have the success, especially he's had a little bit more of hamstring injuries. But for the career, you have to go Chris Paul, and he's a floor general. He's only had one season where he's averaged 3 or more turnovers a game. Other than that, he's always been under close to double-digit assists. Russell Westbrook is averaging 5 turnovers this year, and he has averaged over 3 every year of his career. So to me, that's kind of what I look for. He's very flashy. He's going to put up stats as well, but you can spread those stats around if you have a balanced lineup. I don't want somebody that's turning the ball over because that might lead to fast break points. It might lead to bad chemistry. And, oh, man, why didn't you go and get the pass? Or, the disconnect that's associated with that. I don't think of turnovers as just a number stat. I think of it as a negative kind of connotation on your play because of what's associated with it. So both great players that you'd love to have on your team. Fortunate that Westbrook is on the Wizards. I think that's an upgrade over Wall, even though I'm not happy about giving up a first-round pick. But
I thought, no, that was such a win of a deal. Look at us, man. The Wizards aren't title contenders. Like, let's just get us into the playoffs. That's all that's all I want as a fan right now. Like, maybe if the makeup of the team was different and we could have some championship aspirations. But I love it. I love that he's on the team. I think you touched on it a little bit, Eric, and this is why I'm going to go with Chris Paul is the efficiency aspect. And even in this season, we're seeing Chris Paul all around the board has a better win share, PER. His free throw percentage is 93 compared to Russell Westbrook's 62%. You talked about turnovers. He shoots 44%. Russell Westbrook does. I mean, he gives you everything else, 22, 11, and 11. I mean, he's the greatest rebounding point guard of all time that we've seen. But Chris Paul, he shoots 49% from the floor. Three-pointers, he's a sniper at 38. He's a 9-time all-defensive player. And I think that's kind of where if I'm choosing a career who's higher and I'm talking about all-time ranking of point guards, I'm going to go with Chris Paul on a slight edge here. Russell Westbrook does have that MVP season on his belt. He's won the scoring championship twice, assist championship 2 times. He's a 9-time All-Star. Chris Paul's 11, but he's also 2 years older. 9-time All-NBA for both of these guys. So it is a little bit of a split in hairs, but I think that Chris Paul's game fits in with more players, and especially how he's diversified his game, that he can play some off ball, and his ability to just shoot the ball offhand shows
way better basketball IQ as well. How many times has somebody been backing him down and he pulls the chair out?
He's won the steal champion, or he has had averaged the most steals in the season 6 times. 6 times. He pulls the chair. Yeah, you can't find a better IQ guy. He's in the top 10 with IQ of all time, and it'd be surprising to me if he wasn't either a head coach or somewhere in management going forward. He is a basketballer for life, and his IQ is second to none. He's a warrior. He's had some bad luck in the playoffs, but I wouldn't say that like he's like not a winner. It's hard to say that with Russell too. I know he gets crapped on a little bit with that, and these 2 guys probably they're going to walk away from their careers, some of the better players to never win an NBA championship unless they stumble upon a banana boat with LeBron James. But shout out both of these players with great NBA careers.
Wait, before we wrap up, can we talk about how there's not enough talk that Chris Paul is an a-hole?
He's an asshole? I don't know.
Is that the
competitor in him? I mean,
talked about.
I don't know. He is
Michael Jordan was an asshole. I mean, it could just be the competition level.
He's also a good guy, though, right? He is an asshole. But he's a good guy.
It's just interesting that people don't bring it up as much as they should.
President of the Players Association.
Yeah, and he started so many fights in the NBA.
He's cool though. Like, wouldn't you want to hang out with Chris Paul?
Imagine if Chris Paul actually landed in Los Angeles. Does he get that chip?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe there's a reason he's an asshole at the end of the day. Who knows? Kobe didn't have stars on his team on the ride out into the sunset.
But people talked about that when Kobe was playing. Not towards the end of his days, but like I don't think we talk about it enough with Chris Paul. I think it's something that we should bring up more often. Just my opinion.
It's probably Chris Paul's people really working. They got the State Farm commercials. We got the bowling charity tournaments. They're working hard back there behind the scenes. Making sure this Chris Paul asshole thing doesn't become a real deal.
Yeah, and it's funny. I don't know if it was All the Smoke or where I was watching. Jeannie Buss was talking about how the trade and how that fell through when Chris Paul was supposed to go to the Lakers, and David Stern came in, and it was surprising. She was surprisingly not as salty as I thought she would be, because you paired Chris Paul and Kobe towards the end of his career. That might have actually put that Laker team into contention, and I don't know if it's a shame. Things happen for a reason, and hypothetically, it might have not have been the greatest trade, but the teams agreed to it, David. So rest in peace, the great David Stern. But that whole situation is a 30 for 30 coming soon in the next 5 years, and you can always play the what if game, but you wouldn't be wrong picking either one of these guys. I think Russell Westbrook went like 4. I think Chris Paul went 5. These guys are number one worthy players and some of the all-time great point guards. And I'm in agreement with all three of you. I think I would take Russell today, but it is a team fit. I wouldn't want Russell on Phoenix over Chris. I wouldn't want Chris on the Wizards over Russell. So there's a little bit of that because of how polarizing each one of their games are.
Exactly.
So that wraps up our Triple Play Fantasy segment this week. Stay safe as always. Continue to love the game of basketball like we do. Make some prop bets. Justin is the pro when it comes to that, and I took some notes myself. Reggie Bullock over. Got to get that.
He hit it. He hit it.
What about what's Brand?
There's 9 minutes and 7 seconds left in the fourth quarter. My feed anyways in this game. Knicks are up 102 to 88 now. Well covering the 1 point. And I'm chasing, 13 more points to hit the over. And Reggie Bullock has already hit his prop of 18.5 total points, rebounds, and assists. Last time I looked, he was at 19. So
what's Julius Randle, the fantasy god, looking like?
So I don't have the clean stats. I got 28 points, 9 boards, and an assist. I don't have the percentages or anything.
1 assist. That's a season low for Julius.
A smash though. 28 points of 102 right now with 8:52 left in the game. He could go for 40 still. I mean, if they really want to write up the number, they're down by 12-14. Toronto's definitely not going to cover. Looks like I'm going to be cashing some tickets here.
And there are a lot of top tier playoff fantasy teams that got Julius Randle and snuck him in like the 5th round, and they're being thankful every single day. So that is all we have for you this week. We thank you each and every week for your listens. Please hit the subscribe and like button. That's all we have here from Triple Play Fantasy. Thank you, Justin, our guest. You have done a great job, and we had good conversation. Doc, as always, hardest working man on our team. Shout out to you, and we can't wait. We'll look forward to next week.
Yep, appreciate you having me out, guys.
Appreciate it.